Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sanjay Rughan. I'm the CEO for Standard Chartered Bank in Tanzania, and it's an absolute delight to have you in our offices. It's very interesting that today, once again, we are going to be talking about COVID-19, Corona, and the crisis, and what's happening in the global space on this matter. Today, I'm very privileged to be hosted by the Association of Tanzanian Employers, ATE as we call it. I'm also a director of ATE, so it makes it double exciting for me to be talking to them. The subject that they've asked me to provide remarks is really around COVID-19 and how did Standard Chartered Bank take the opportunity to manage itself effectively during this phase. So I think first of all, it's an absolute delight that, whilst the world is unfortunately still combating with this crisis, Tanzania seems to be in a much better shape, and I think it's just a good situation to have. For Standard Chartered Bank, many of you will know that the bank, actually a Standard Chartered Bank globally, came into existence in 1853. So for the last 167 years, this is definitely not the first pandemic we have faced. We have faced many, many pandemics. But to really structure how Standard Chartered Bank, took opportunity to deal with the COVID pandemic, I would actually touch 6 C's. Since we are talking about Corona, COVID, and crisis, I will also touch on the 6 C's. The first one for us is really around our company. So, being there for 167 years, 103 years in Tanzania, clearly the first thing we did was, as Corona hit us, was to take opportunity to leverage on our experience. We are a bank that has faced the Corona, not only the coronavirus, but, the Ebola virus in West Africa. We faced the coronavirus in China first, so there was a lot of best practices that were shared. But also as an organization, we've dealt with many other calamities, including, natural disasters. And I think what we did is very quickly took opportunity to learn from those. As a bank, we are a very responsive bank, not only in Tanzania, but globally. We took time to share best practices. But besides that, what we also did is to try and say, what are we going to do, not only for the bank itself internally, but externally, what role we will play. And clearly, it's a blessing for the team in Tanzania, as we are dealing with this crisis, to have a lot of leaders from the group talk to us on a daily basis to just get to understand the best practices. So the first thing we did, like I said, is C for company. We optimized on our company. Also, as you're dealing with crisis, you have to make sure that your company is strong, because as you are giving confidence to others, as you are taking steps to manage others, you as a company need to be strong. The second C I will talk about is our colleagues, human resources, our people. These are our biggest asset that we have. The bank spent an incredible amount of time, effort, energy to make sure that our colleagues, our staff are really, really looked after at the best possible, opportunity. We created better workplace standards. We brought in a lot of hygiene and health measures. We created fitness forums as a bank. We had a lot of communication, education. We had a lot of information sharing, because remember, it was a complex situation, not only locally, but globally also. But what was important is the care we took. My leaders, I can tell you, I'm very proud of them. The amount of effort we put to engage not only our staff, but their families, to look at health measures, clearly improving their situation from a home perspective. I can tell you during this time, Standard Chartered Bank has grown its digital proposition by 600%. So giving facilities to our staff so that they can work from home, we've done things that we've never done before, and the whole bank came together to really support our colleagues. The third C I will talk about, which is really why we are in this world, is our clients or customers. The bank spent immense time to engage its clients, to understand what are their situation, their challenges, their concerns, their circumstances. We have supported a lot of our clients during this pandemic. I remember I went into the national television being as one of the first banks to really recognize not only the challenge, but recognize that a lot of our clients will need support. We did not wait for our clients to come to us, but as a measure, we actually directly engaged our clients and made sure that we talked to them about their cash flows, about their costs, about their supply chain management, about how they're dealing with their people. We spent a lot of time sharing best practices. Remember, as I indicated, Standard Chartered Bank had gone through this pandemic when it started in China. So we actually know what client behaviors were going to come. So we took a lot of time to nurture our clients. We also gave them confidence. Like I said, as a company, we decided to stay strong. So when you are a strong company, you make sure that you give the same confidence to the clients that we are together. Tuko pamoja, and we will cross this bridge together. The next C I will talk about is really around community. You all know that for Standard Chartered Bank, our strategy is not only profit, but it's purpose and profit. We are a bank that is recognized to be a caring bank. Our brand promise is here for good. That's what we stand for. So one is, there was a lot of direct intervention in engaging the communities, supporting them. I know that we had also given a one-off donation to UNICEF and Red Cross. This was $550,000, just around 1.28 billion shillings, which is pretty significant. But what we did is also that we got involved in a lot of thought leadership forums. So whether it's bankers industry, the Association of Tanzanian Employers looking at human resources issues, or from a CEO roundtable perspective, looking at business as a whole, working with government leaders, ministers, trying to understand the global situation, how it impacts the local situation, help our clients manage things like supply chain risk. There was at one time a slight challenge in whether we will have liquidity in the country, we will have FX in the country. So on an ongoing basis, the bank was very involved to make sure that we engage, we communicate, we relate our messages, and share the best practices that we've picked globally with our stakeholders. And I think that during this time, we as an organization stood very high. And it's all due to our staff because they played a big role in thought leadership. I want to move on to the next C, which is around collaboration. And let me start by thanking ATE. Because this is, in collaboration is where we found a lot of good partners who are going through similar situations and this time stood beside us and stood beside our clients. One of those organizations is clearly ATE. The workplace practices that were produced, the assessments that were done around our country, the most vulnerable sectors, and really guidance around even legal issues. These are things that we have never faced in the past. So I think like ourselves, a lot of organizations benefited from it. My personal understanding is about 6,000 companies actually used the ATE framework as a guidance, and I think I want to congratulate them. But besides this, our regulators collaborated with us, our clients collaborated with us. We also had our suppliers who collaborated with us. Remember, for us, our suppliers are part of us. So we spent a lot of time in collaboration. Finally, as a CEO, I can tell you, during the crisis, the question that I was asked and I continue to ask myself is the crisis managing you or are you managing the crisis? And here I will touch on the final C that we have in our company, which is champions. I can tell you I'm a very, very proud CEO. I have incredible staff working for the bank. I have many champions. There were individuals who have touched us in so many meaningful ways that I really cannot thank them enough. People who stood beside me, stood beside my leaders, stood beside my clients, day in, day out, people who were concerned. People who are invisible became very visible, because to improve my technology, by 600%, to support my clients, to engage regulators, to talk to my group, to do a lot of risk assessments. All this requires a lot of resilience. It requires a lot of intelligence. It requires a lot of confidence. Remember, everybody was worried, concerned, scared, but these champions stood beside us. We also took time to recognize them. Many of them were awarded pretty well. But I can tell you that one of the things that makes Standard Chartered Bank what we are all about, besides our clients, is our champions, and we do have many. It's very interesting that whilst we were going through this crisis, I think there is a global acknowledgement that our education system never prepares us for a crisis of this magnitude. We have over 7 billion people all worried and concerned about the same thing. And even as of today, we really don't have a solution. So whilst the situation in Tanzania has improved, and so is the case in many countries, really the crisis is ongoing. I think it will take another 18, 24 months, if we're lucky, to get through this. So we are not really in the end game. We are very much in part of the transition, and I think we'll all still have to continue to work together. For Standard Chartered Bank, as I said, we have been in existence for 167 years. So we've gone through world wars, we've gone through natural calamities, we've gone through such pandemics, not of this magnitude, but clearly we've gone through many pandemics. The question is really, so how does an organization prepare for this? So the first thing you need to know is really around your knowledge, on pandemics. Now we are very fortunate. We've got a lot of literature, we've got a lot of information, we've got a lot of best practices. We know what worked, what did not work in the past, including when we had an Ebola, including when we had tsunamis. The first thing we did is really optimize on what information we had. The second thing we did is really, as I mentioned, is collaboration. When you're facing a pandemic, you have to move to a subject matter expert to help you best. When it comes to people issues, ATE is best. When it comes to health issues, you need to start talking to your insurers, you need to start talking to hospitals, you need to start talking to health specialists. Including that, during things like a pandemic, there's going to be a lot of mental trauma. And there is no leader who actually is born to manage that. So it's very important that you use your human resources team and counselors to help out on this. We did a lot of work of the sense in Standard Chartered. The whole client space, it's really about, a question I was asked is, so how do you motivate your staff? I think when there is a pandemic, the best way to motivate your staff is being transparent. Give them information that is going to enable them to make good decisions. Start caring about them, empathize with them. Things are going to be challenging, but listen to them. One of the biggest ways to manage pandemic is to listen, because remember, you do not have the answers. The only way you can take decisions is to listen, evaluate, and then work with subject matter experts or your collaborators, and then try and see, what is the best route. And trust me, you should also be ready to fail, because you're taking different risks, you're taking some initiatives that are not tested always. So this is an opportunity for you to make sure that you come out of your comfort zone and take certain risks or measures that are going to be different. Now again, for Standard Chartered, sometimes this is easy, given that we've been in existence for long. We spent a lot of time with our clients, including talking to their staff, just the way we did with our staff. We created a whole new curriculum of learning, digital learning. Thousands and thousands of hours of digital learning was provided to our staff, including how to deal with our clients. We started talking about, and how do you engage the client? How do you talk to them about their business? How do you evaluate whether they are considerate about all the risks or not? Do they understand cash flow management? Do they understand cost management? Are they really making sure that their staff, just the way our staff, are becoming future fit? Because we've all realized that during this pandemic, digital has become a big thing. Taking decisions has become a big thing. We call the whole thing about emotional intelligence. Feel the people. That's very, very critical. Some of these things we've had to learn as part of the journey. What is amazing is how humanity has demonstrated resilience, how quickly we can actually learn. There are people, my grandparents, I've seen a lot of elders who have become digitally resilient now. They use technology to the optimal state. So if they can do it, imagine what the youth can do. And as a Tanzania or as Africa, this is a continent full of youth. So I think it's good time to look at, what you can learn from the crisis and optimize on it. So I would really say is that one, use the best collaborative, approaches, work with subject matter experts. Also, always as leaders, you need to be in a zone of confidence. When you're not in the zone of confidence, you're bound to make more mistakes. You're bound to say things that don't make sense. And confidence comes during this time through collaboration. And Tanzania is blessed. We've had a lot of collaboration from the government. We've had a lot of collaboration with the likes of ATE, from our corporates, from other banks, from central bank. So I think this has been the case in most of the countries. Humanity comes together in crisis, and you have to be able to be smart to look at who's going to matter during these times. So that would be my real sharing in terms of how do organizations get better at managing pandemics. Thank you.